Brooke? Brooke, what brings you here?
Hi, sweetie. How are you doing? How are you doing, cutie? She been fed?
Yeah, she had a bottle. I even changed her diapers, Brooke.
She looks a little tired. Maybe she needs a nap.
Well, she woke up a half hour ago.
Well, babies need a lot of sleep.
Yes, she did have a little trouble last night.
Well, I can imagine. She's probably still adjusting to a strange place.
Children are very adaptable, Brooke. Isn't that what the experts say?
Do you want me to put her down?
No, I'll do it.
Maybe she could use a water bottle.
I have a pacifier for her.
Thank you.
What can I do for you?
I'm here on the behalf of a very dear friend. A few weeks ago, his wife died, and yesterday somebody took away his child.
Brooke, Madeline is my daughter. I have every right.
Don't talk to me
John,
about rights. You may have a legal right, Dimitri. But to take that little baby away from Edmund, it's morally wrong. How can you do it? How can you deliberately destroy your brother?
Brooke, as cruel as it may seem, I am doing this for Madeline as much as for myself. Edmund needs to
Edmund is going through hell because of this.
He'll pull through it.
How can you just dismiss him? He lost his wife, and now he's lost his child. What else can he possibly lose?
Still has Sammy.
Sammy! Sammy is not a consolation prize.
Edmund is not himself. He's suffering from post-concussion syndrome. He has violent mood swings. He had one yesterday in the court.
You provoked him!
While he was on the witness stand.
Filing a custody suit was provocation enough. Madeline is the only thing of Maria's that Edmund has left.
How many times do I have to say this? I'm doing it for Maddie.
You're doing it for yourself. Maria was your friend. How would she feel if she knew what you were doing? She'd hate it. She'd hate you for it.
Okay, Brooke, that's enough.
Dimitri, listen to me. I was with her until that plane went over that cliff. And all she could think about was Edmund and Maddie. She begged me to save Maddie's life. She gave up her own life for that little girl. The last thing that Maria saw was her daughter. I held her up so that Maria could see her for the last time before she died. And you know how much she wanted Edmund to raise her little girl, you know. And this is just like killing her all over again.
That's what... Edmund's not well.
Dimitri, you'll get better. You still have time. Give Maddie back. Give him Maria's last wish. Do the right thing. This Lorimar Steel lead is the first decent break that we've gotten. Jack's going to follow up, right?
I don't know. The only problem is he said that he doesn't want me investigating anymore. And...
Then maybe you don't want to hear what I have to say. I have an idea.
No, I do want to hear what you have to say. What is it?
I persuaded Tad to devote an entire show on the cutting edge to the crash. And I thought maybe you and Hayley could go with me and be on the show. And that way we could demand some answers from Trans Global and from Coreview.
Absolutely. I'd love to apply some public pressure on these guys. Maybe we'll find out what's going on here finally.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. You know, maybe really tighten the screws on the airline. Jack couldn't object to that, could he?
I tried to get in touch with my father again, but he's nowhere to be found. I mean, since when is Dad ever incommunicado?
What the devil you... How can I be responsible for that plane crash?
When you took over Trans Global, you waited till Mr. Christopher was on vacation. Then you called a meeting. I was there. You told us to cut 10% out of the operating budget or you were going to shut down the airline.
I didn't tell you to use defective parts, for God's sake.
How did I know they were defective? All I knew was they were cheap. You're the boss. You told us to cut cost. I cut cost. You're looking for someone to blame for that plane going down? And you just get yourself a mirror and you look in it.
Listen, before we start, I just want to say, personally, thank you. And I'm glad you could be here.
Well, I'll tell you something, Tad. It wasn't my first instinct.
Yeah, I know, I heard. What changed your mind?
Well, maybe if the victims of the crash can rest a little easier if we light a fire on the Trans Global. And...
Hi, I'm sorry. Am I late?
No, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're in your seat before the red light goes on, you're early.
Great. How about a couple of extra seats for Hayley and Mateo? They've been doing some information digging on their own on Trans Global, and they've got some things to say, I think.
You back in our old line of work?
Well, for a good cause.
No kidding. Welcome.
Where'd you find out?
You ever hear of the Core View Group?
No.
Well, you shouldn't. It's the parent company to Trans Global Air.
The not-so-proud parent company, the way they've been hiding themselves.
They have a lot to hide. Mateo did some digging and found all these fake purchase orders for parts they never received.
Fake purchase orders for airplane parts?
That's right. Kind of makes you wonder what they've been putting inside their planes.
And who's at the helm?
You gave the order to cut 10% out of Trans Global's hide. I warned you then that an operation like ours that could be lethal. Do you remember what you said?
Well, all I said was do what had to be done.
And God help us, we did. Pink slipped a couple hundred people, forced the others to work twice as hard. You can't bully an airline, Mr. Chandler. You don't give it what it needs, it doesn't fly.
I didn't ask you to risk people's lives.
Do what has to be done. We knew what that meant. So did you.
It meant that Trans Global was never going to show a profit. A decent profit, unless some sacrifices were made.
Sacrifices. We made sacrifices, all right. Human sacrifices.
That's enough.
There's going to be more. If you don't ground every plane in this fleet.
I said that's enough.
Oh, well, that was close. I thought we were going to miss our flight.
Would you please tell me where we're going? You know I hate surprises.
Well, we're going to celebrate your reconciliation with Adam in style, darling. We're going to paint the town.
Any town in particular?
Well, think nonstop action 24 hours a day.
Sarajevo?
The Great White Way.
Mother?
Right, we're going to New York, darling. Where else?
That was so thoughtful of you.
Welcome to Trans Global Airlines.
Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Cutting Edge. You know, it's a rare week on this show when one of my guests doesn't claim to be a survivor. It means they've made it through anything from a celebrity divorce to a bad hair day. But today on the show, we've got the genuine article, Survivors of a Real-Life Nightmare. By now, many of you have seen their faces on the evening news. Brooke English and Edmund Grey, 2 of 4 survivors of the cliffside crash of Trans Global Flight 149. Tragically, Edmund's wife Maria was among the victims in that crash. Joining us today, along with Edmund and Brooke, is Maria's brother, Mateo Santos, who, along with his wife Hayley, after conducting their own investigation, has some very interesting things to say about the circumstances surrounding that crash. For the record, we invited Trans Global to be a part of this discussion. They declined. Apparently, they couldn't come up with any of those happy, friendly people you see on all their commercials. Brooke, I understand that upon making your own inquiries into the crash, you feel you were stonewalled by Trans Global?
Yes, they have been Very uncooperative.
Well, before we get into that, I wonder if you could recreate for us the events that transpired just before the crash.
It was a Trans Global flight from New York to Pine Valley. It was supposed to be a short flight. The first 20 minutes or so were very smooth, you know, uneventful. And then there was a bang. It was loud, like a gunshot. And the plane swerved. The whole plane swerved, like it was hitting a speed bump. And then there were screams. And there was another bang, and there was a sensation as though the floor were falling away. The floor was falling away from our feet. I remember that Maria reached out to touch Edmund's hand. I guess it all happened in just a few seconds. I don't remember the impact. I'm told that's not uncommon. When I woke up, I just remember being very cold. And there was a smell of jet fuel and fire. And I remember hearing Maddie crying somewhere.
Edmund and Maria's baby.
Yes.
You saved her life.
No.
No.
Maria saved Maddie's life. I couldn't save Maria. I left her on that damn plane to die.
Brooke. That's not true. Brooke, you did everything you could for Maria. And I'm ashamed that I haven't said it before. But thank you, Brooke. With all of my heart. Thank you.
Some good news for a change, Adam. Looks like you'll be able to unload Corview after all. I found a buyer. Our interested party has been eyeing Trans Global for a while now, watching the numbers. They're happy to buy when we're down on our luck. So the price isn't what you'd like, but at least you'll be rid of this whole mess.
No. It'll follow me forever.
Now, as soon as we work out the details, you'll disappear in a blaze of paperwork. No one need ever know you were connected to Trans Global.
I'll know. I caused the crash of 149. Those people are dead because of me.